Hello. Today I want to look at 2 Years Before the Mast by Richard Henry Dana. And this was a find at a used bookstore and just saw it there and thought, oh, wow, that looks good. Read the back, which I know other people have complained about, the book's not telling you what's in it. But this is pretty good. 2 Years Before the Mast is a unique autobiography, the portrait of a Harvard undergraduate who put off his tight frock coat and kid gloves for the loose ducks and check shirt of an ordinary seaman. It is also the first book which realistically depicted the roughly treated, poorly paid man in the forecastle and heralded a movement um, to improve his lot, but it lives above all as a matchless tale of adventure, for here, without adornment, is a square rigger sailing the open seas, the squalls, the calms, the thunderstorms, the desolate beaches of little-known coasts, the strange and fascinating inhabitants of exotic ports of call. Uh, the exotic ports of call were basically around the Horn and California. And there's just a really good book. He doesn't. So like I said, like it said on the back, uh, he spent 2 years at Harvard, and he decided he got ill, and he decided that a 2 year stint as a sailor would do him some good, plus help his funds. And so he signed aboard, and it went from him being a green, you know, wobbly legged sailor to um, you know just knowing everything when he got back. But he's also very observant, kept a diary, and just really well written adventure book. He doesn't explain every single thing. He lets you figure things out yourself, but he does use all the sailor jargon and all that, and it's really good. By the time you're done with the book, you'll kind of know the difference between a mizzen mast and a foretop castle or whatever, uh, floor castle, aft castle. The before the mast is kind of a saying um, for the regular sailors slept in front of the mast in the front part of the ship, in the hold under there, and that's where the before the mast is, and like the officers would be after the mast, kind of. Anyway, that's where that saying comes from. But it's just a really good book. I really enjoyed his descriptions of California, having been out to Monterey and San Francisco. It's amazing how little there was. There was nothing, and all San Diego, Santa Barbara. He went all up and down the California coast, and their cargo was hides. And it's just incredible how many hides. Their quota was 20,000 hides before they could go back, and they had to be you know tanned, cured, dried, um, and it's just a process. He explains all of that stuff. He explains his leaves on shore, the people he met, just and the four types of people out in California. There were the Indians, the Mexicans, the some Americans, very few Americans, and then the Californians, which were a different breed of people. Um, and they didn't really belong to anybody. They were just Californians. And when he went to San Francisco Bay, there was one house, and the when he went back at the last chapter is kind of an addendum on it. His 20 years later, went back and it had 100,000 people. So it was just after the gold rush, and his book was instrumental in like I said, kind of improving the lot, or at least exposing the lot of an average sailor. He just definitely was able to portray how hard and difficult the life was. He obviously, or at the end, he didn't want to strip the captain of his, absolute power because they needed that in order to, get the ship um, moving, and it was important that the captain have all that power. But by exposing it, he wanted to, sometimes captains did abuse their power, and he just hoped that uh, through uh, education and temperance that uh, the lot of the sailor could be improved. And at the end, one of his urgent consideration was to provide everybody a Bible and teach them to read, because that's one thing, they had plenty of time to learn to read. And he was of the opinion that if the first things you read are the Bible, then you'll live an upright life, which probably is true, and probably the reason uh, we're in the situation we're in now. But anyway, it was a really good book. If you like anything to do with sailing, anything, this is like written back almost 200 years ago now, which is crazy. 1836 was when the voyage, and he wrote it. I believe it was first. This one of the published with the addendum was 1859, but he published it shortly after he returned. Um, but then it was like republished with the 20-year addendum, and it's just a really good book. I was very glad to have found it and highly recommend it.